I have Jordan Henderson here today. Thanks for being here, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Henderson, is that your last name?
Yeah,
right?
Henderson.
Okay, I didn't write it down, but I had it memorized.
You're good.
With Lee Creative, and sort of your business pitch is a full female-owned and operated digital marketing agency that specializes in social media management, web design, logos, and branding. But your bread and butter is really social media management for clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, I have so many questions about your business. We can talk shop for a long time. But first, I want to back up a little bit and talk about how you got here, your childhood, where you grew up, and how you got to be a business owner.
Yeah.
So where'd you grow up?
I am from Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
So
Deep South, like me.
Deep South, yes. Born and raised, went to school. Then
You don't have that much of a
I
country
don't really
accent.
have an
I don't
accent.
really
I've
either.
always I'm from Birmingham, city, which is, if you know anything about Alabama, you have, Huntsville, Birmingham are the two largest cities, and all the rest are obviously small country
They're
towns.
cities, yeah.
Yeah, but I never have really had an accent. All of my parents don't really have one, even though my mom is from Mississippi, my dad's from Alabama, moved to Washington
Your
State for a little
parents
bit.
don't have accents either?
No, I mean, in certain words, it comes
Okay.
out in our twang or
'Cause
anything. But
my parents, especially my mom, has a very thick country accent.
yeah, my family, fortunately, we don't have super strong. I went to school at Mississippi State University, so a lot of my friends are from, super small
You
towns.
said fortunately, having an accent is a bad thing.
No, I'm just saying some of them,
I
it
know
gets
what
a
you
little
mean.
hard to understand them sometimes. And they have thick accents. So
Sure.
I am kind of blessed. And then when I meet new people, they're like, oh, you sound like you're from California or something. And I'm like, I really don't have one anymore.
Yeah.
Certain words, it'll come out though.
Yeah, same. I get a good y'all in there every now and then. I'm fixing to do that.
Right.
Cool. So grew up and you said you played soccer, right?
I did. I played soccer my entire
Pretty
life.
religiously from a young age.
Started when I was 3 and then played all the way until I was 18.
What position?
I was a striker.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
up top, ran
spot.
fast, running. But that was my entire life. I actually didn't go to I think I only went to maybe 1 or 2 high school dances because I was always away every weekend traveling.
For soccer.
I played competitively on a club team, and then I played in high school. I was on the varsity team when I was a freshman. That was my entire life, and I actually tore both of my ACLs.
At the same time?
No, I tore.
Okay, I was like, how do you do that?
I tore my right one my freshman year of high school, and I was like, you know what? I'm still young and healthy. Rehabbed in 6 months, everything's great. And then actually, almost 2 years to the day, I was away again at another tournament and tore my left one. And so your junior year of high school is really when you're trying to do recruiting stuff, talking to coaches, and that was what I wanted to do. I literally was that girl that would follow the national team if they were remotely close to Birmingham. I'd drive to Atlanta and go see them, and I've met
Try
a few
to connect with the coaches and the recruiters.
No, I would go watch Alex Morgan and all of them. I would
just
go,
to watch them.
Yeah, because I was so just inspired and I wanted to be them one day. I did the Olympic development program. I was in it. But after my left one, I kind of was like, do I really want to do this anymore? I've been doing it for so long. I kind of don't have a life. And I rehabbed it again in 6 months and played my senior year. But that's kind of where I really was like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to do? Everyone says when you go to college and play sports, it is such a job. You don't really get to be in sorority or Greek life or anything, or really get to go to all the events. And I kind of just had a long, hard talk with myself and was like, what do I want to do? So I kind of ended my collegiate journey of talking to coaches. And fortunately enough, the high school I went to, we had academies. So you could pick when you were a freshman, engineering, health science, business. So I had chosen the business academy way back because I've always, both my parents are entrepreneurs, and I always knew if the soccer thing doesn't work out, maybe I want to be a business girl.
What do your parents do?
So my dad owns a very niche insurance agency for real estate investors. So It's available nationwide. It's a super cool program. He worked.
Trying to shout it out right now?
Yeah,
Go
sure.
for it.
It's called Big Insurance Group.
Big Insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Big. It stands for Birmingham Insurance Group, but they kind of rebranded just to Big because they do they can write in all 50 states, which is a lot of companies can't do that.
Okay.
It's very niche. It's for people with rental properties and they want to insure all that. And then my mom owns an embroidery business, so
Cool.
talk custom gifts and bags and napkins and all that kind of stuff people love to get for gifts. So anyway, I grew up
big in the
watching. Oh yeah. I grew up watching them, and my mom and dad both worked corporate 9-to-5s. I was in after school care. I was that kid that, my parents were not stay-at-home parents. Yeah. And I, always at the time I was very kind of, all of my friends, their mom picked them up at 3 p.m. and then they got to go do stuff. And I was the kid that my parents were working. But now looking back, I'm so grateful for that experience because that's where it's instilled so many of my work ethic and values, because it's like I watch them work hard, and then you leave corporate world and then go out and start their own thing. And that's literally what I did too. So I'm like very thankful for that journey.
Cool. That's great to hear, because all three of my kids are in like daycare camps right now type stuff.
I mean, I went to like summer camp for 2 weeks. Yeah. And it's just like, I love that we're now in like 2024 where like that is very much the norm. Like, I don't think you necessarily, like, kids probably don't feel the same that I did. Like back then in the South, I mean, everyone's mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I was like, I'm the outsider.
Okay.
And I was actually like bullied in middle school, like unrelated reasons to that, but just like group of girls that just wanted to, you know, stick their claws out at me every day. So I'm an only child too. So I
So
very
you have
much
a big brother, big sister to stand up for
I've
you.
always just kind of been on my own, done my own thing, walked to the beat of my own drum kind of thing. And that's kind of progressed into me like going through the corporate journey, owning my own business. Like I am very thankful for the way I was raised, how I am kind of in my nature. And that really helps me to be a good business owner, I think.
So other than your parents being entrepreneurs, what is it about your personality that you recognize that made you want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. And so many people will, like, since I've started my business a little over a year now, they'll like message me and be like, oh my gosh, like I love social media. Like I want to start my own business too. Like, what are some tips do you have? And I'm like, the number one piece of advice I would give you is you have got to have the thickest skin ever. Like, I feel like I'm a very like emotional and sensitive person, but when it comes to like my business, how hard I work, I'm very much like, this is kind of what I want to deal with or put up with, and like really have to set boundaries, because unfortunately when you first start a business and you're trying to get new clients and stuff, people will always want to reach out to you and try to get, you know, something for $100 a month. And you're like, I have rent to pay, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's definitely been a work in progress, but I'm thankfully, like, I've just had so many different scenarios come my way over the last year that I feel like fortunate enough that I can like stand up for myself and my business. I actually had a scenario happen a couple weeks ago where I had to kind of, you know, set the boundary of like, I don't really do this work for free anymore, whatever. And someone attached to that email had actually like reached out to me on the side, and she was like, I am so proud of the way you just stood up for yourself and how you won't work for free. It took me 20 years to learn that.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that was kind of
That's
like
it
was like a good feeling, because I was like, this is hard, especially a lot of the times I'm talking to like a lot of, you know, older adults, and being 25, they're probably thinking, oh, it's just this young girl like doing this for fun. I'm like, no, this is my livelihood. I have part-time employees. Like this is my business.
Real business.
Yeah. And so it's been like kind of hard. Like I didn't feel like people really took me seriously like this time last year, but now, like, fortunately enough, like all of my current clients I have are amazing, and they're like, you're the best. We value what you do. We're going to pay your rates. Like, this is great. So people that just reach out, I'm like, you've got to like know that like kind of you want to do this as your business, not just for fun.
Yeah. Not every business is a potential client. Like some are just not worth your time.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
and
only the ones that really value what you do are worth even pursuing. It's hard to filter those people out, hard to filter those leads out.
So hard. And I thankfully, you know, rookie mistakes. I used to didn't have like a,
You gotta learn to look for those red flags really early on.
right. I
and
used to
build
not have like a questionnaire that literally asked them what their budget was. Then I'd get on hour-long calls and they'd be like, oh, my budget's $100. And I'm like, well, I just wasted so much time.
Yeah. That's frustrating. Yeah, but the further you go in business, every time you run up against those, you like, okay, well, let me go back and look at my process, my intake process, and figure out what is a filter I can put up to filter these people out. You know, asking them about budget, asking them about what they value, asking them what their goals are up front in the very first, like before they even get to even talk to you, you got to filter a lot of those people out.
And thankfully, we're at that spot now. But
early on, and it'll only get so much better from here too. You're 2 years in, right? And so the fact that you've already figured that out is pretty awesome.
I know, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. You're off to a good start. Cool. So tell me about starting Lee Creative, because you had a couple corporate jobs, right?
I did, yes.
And then did you quit those or got laid off?
Yeah. So I'll kind of outline how I even got to Colorado. So I graduated college in 2021, and I actually got connected with a guy out there through a friend. She was actually their babysitter for his family, and he was the COO of a startup that their CEO lived here in Denver. And it was a sports tech startup that connected brands and athletes for endorsement deals. I actually got to help facilitate like the first NIL deal ever in like 2021 when all of that like laws passed. So that was super cool. And me playing sports my whole life and then doing marketing for them, I was like, this is wonderful. Like, you know, basically combining my two loves in life. So I interned for them like my senior year of college, and then they offered me a full-time job, and they're like, yeah, you can be remote. It's great. We have, you know.
Where were you living?
I moved back home because to be transparent, I was like, I got to save money, like, that whole thing. And they're like, yeah, sure, come back. Anyway, but a lot of their employees lived like all over Seattle, Atlanta, Denver, but they were like, yeah, you can be remote. So I moved back home, worked for like 6 months, and I get a call one day from the CEO, and he goes, hey, Jordan, so yeah, everyone's going to move to Denver. And I said, excuse me? I had never been to Colorado. Ever.
Oh, wow.
And so this was like September 2021.
Well,
I graduated.
Why the big shift in the way that
they just, I mean, I think, maybe they got more like funding because it was a startup. So they were like, we really want to have this like office camaraderie and like everyone be in one kind of ship working together.
This is the middle of COVID?
Like right after.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I am so honest with people and say I had like a meltdown because I was like, I've never been to Colorado. I'm from Alabama. Went to school in Mississippi. Like I'm a Southern girl.
Did you even know anybody in Denver?
No, zero. Okay. I knew no one here.
That's hard.
So I was like, again, like I was like, this is what I love to do. I think I'm good at my job. And of course they only had like, 5 to 7 employees at the time. And they did say a lot of kind of open promises, like you're going to be a VP of marketing when you're 26 years old. And as a young college girl, you're like, great.
Yeah.
So I, talked to friends, family, and my dad was like, like if that opportunity was given to me, like I'd jump ship. And I'm like, well, of course, Dad, like guys are so much different than girls. Right. But anyway, I ultimately decided like, okay, I'm going to take this for my career. So I moved January 2022 to Colorado. And like, they told me in September 21. So like October, November, December, I would come for like a week at a time and like work and figure out where I was going to live, like all that good stuff.
Was that a fun experience for you? Stressful.
I mean, it was just so stressful. And again, I did not know a soul here except for, my coworkers. So I was kind of like, this is going to be so hard finding like new girls to hang out with. It's a super, and I was the only girl at the time. It was all guys.
God. Okay.
So there was like a lot like on it. But anyway, I moved here and I, go into my 8 to 5 every day, like working super hard, working long hours, doing like events on the weekend. So I really didn't have like a ton of time to like go meet people to like hang out with or anything. But anyway, worked here for 6 months. Okay. And then I get a call July 4th, the Friday before July 4th weekend at like 4:30 p.m. And it's our COO. And I'm like, oh, he probably just wants to talk about the work from the day, whatever. And he's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, great. And he goes, all right, so we're letting you go. And I was like, I remember where I was. I was like in my kitchen of my apartment and I kind of was like, excuse me? Like,
dude, you just uprooted your life
and it was a very hard decision.
Did they pay for you to move?
Yeah, they gave me like a small relocation because I had to get the U-Haul
Not
here.
Not that makes it okay. But.
I know. But anyway, I was just like, and he was the guy that I like, he hired me. Like we were back in Starkville. Like he was the whole like kind of, I was like their first actually like full-time employee. Anyway, so
what was their reason?
Funding? They didn't really like, honestly didn't really give me like a concrete reason, but I knew it was probably like, economic issues. Like I still really don't know till this day. They did let like other few people go too.
Yeah.
And then now they only have like 2 employees. Like I'm not really sure if it's still in business or not. I don't really check up on them because of the stuff I experienced. And they like even 8 months after I was let go,
I would be checking up on them all the time, preying on their downfall. But that's the vindictiveness in me.
I just like, I hope it works out. And because I think we're going to get into like why this was all supposed to happen. But so that was like July 4th weekend of 2022. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I just uprooted my life. Now I'm let go. Like what in the world do I do? So I like actually had thankfully like a beach trip planned with my family. So like a week later, I flew back home to Florida or Birmingham. And we go to the beach in Florida and just got to spend time with them.
Pensacola, Destin?
We go to like 30A area. So like kind of by Destin. Yeah. We're going again in a few weeks. So I'm like, yay. But anyway, I was like, what do I want to do? So of course, get back onto LinkedIn. I'm like trying to apply to like any job under the sun. And I like applied to probably like over 300 jobs like on LinkedIn and like did not hear anything. And thankfully I had like a friend of a friend that a company that she worked for is like, we're hiring another one of me. So like another like marketing coordinator position. And at this point I was like feeling pretty devastated because I was like, I interned all throughout high school, college. Like I had so many, in my resume, like so many stops in the book. And so I was like, why am I not being like recruited almost? Like, I think I'm good at what I do. Anyway, so she like referred me to this job. I interviewed, got the job, but I knew it probably wasn't like my forever home. Sure. It was, I knew I could like make an impact and do good, but of course I had my sights set on maybe something back in the sports industry or like just something bigger. It was like a super big, not super big. They have like over 1,000 employees tech company and they're older than I am. So I was like, great, there will be stability here. I'm not going to get let go. Right.
Yeah.
So I worked there for 8 months, and it's like a late Thursday night, and I get a meeting thrown up on my calendar for Friday morning. And my boss at the time, like, we had a very regimented schedule of meetings. Like, if there's something random, I was kind of like, interesting, red flag. So I messaged her, like, late at night, Thursday night. I'm like, hey, like, what is this about? Like, we had a great day today. I actually had given a presentation, like a sales presentation, and we had like several people on the call that actually ended up like calling their sales rep and converting from like the presentation I gave. So it was like a great day. Okay.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, she responds, 9 p.m. and it's like, oh, just some updates we want to share. And I am like sitting there going, I know it's about to happen.
Yeah.
And my like boyfriend and parents are like, Jordan, like, it's fine. Like, you had a great day today. Like, this, you're not getting let go. And I was like, I'm telling you guys, I feel it in my bones.
You knew it in your gut.
So that's when I found out you can hide invites on a Zoom call. Like, because when she invited me, it was just me and her, like a one-on-one. And then I, wake up the next morning, 8 a.m., get on the call, and it's HR, CMO. And I kind of sat back and I was like, I know it's about to happen. So I was nice.
Did they give you a reason this time?
Well, this time, since I'd gone it through before, and the last time I was very like shell-shocked and kind of was like, okay, and hung up the phone. I was like, what's the reason? Can you give me some data on like why I'm being let go? And of course, they don't give you anything. They're like, oh, economic layoffs. Like, and then they just immediately rush you to HR. And like, is your address and information correct so you can send your stuff back? Like, the most cold experience ever. And so that happened March 3rd. The dates are important here. Okay. March 3rd of 2023. Okay. And so then I was
This was like 14 months ago.
I know. So then I was at a crossroads and I was like, what do I want to do? Like, what am I good at? I was burned twice and I'm only 24. Like, what in the
world? Do I want to just keep doing this?
I was like, I don't want to keep going through this circle. Cause of course, like all of my friends and people I know all work for, a corporate-ish situation. And I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to subscribe to the 9-to-5 life anymore. So March 3rd, I got let go. By March 9th, 6 days later, I had filed my LLC for my business because I'd been doing freelance on the side all throughout my corporate jobs, but it was nowhere near enough money to supplement my income. But I was like, if I can just get enough clients or money to start to like pay my rent, we're going to see this thing through. Yeah. So I just like from there, it was just like a snowball effect of like, I had like an Instagram, I had my name already, which it's my middle name, Lee. It's like a family name, so I'm very like proud of it.
We have the same middle name.
Oh yeah. And so I just like started putting myself out there more, LinkedIn, Instagram. My dad is pretty well connected, was just my champion, like emailing anyone he knew being like, do you need marketing help? And it just thankfully like snowballed from there. That's cool. And here we are. And I'm just like so thankful I did what I did because I just can never see myself going back to working for someone else. And being treated like a shell of a human. Like, it's actually so funny too. The last job I had, they had like you log into the HR system, you can quite literally see a totem pole of where you are on the map and then like all the way to the CEO. And I was the very last stop on the map in the department, and I counted how many people there were to maybe get to like VP of marketing, and they're all 58 years old. Yeah. And like not even making like $100,000. And I'm like, this is just not the life I want. So here we are.
I love it. So give you a high five. That's amazing. That's so cool. I had a similar experience. Like, I knew I was always wanted to be like an entrepreneur, but I didn't know like how to, I needed like a kick in the butt to do it. And for me, it was I worked for a large computer company that rhymes with Maple. And I was like I was kind of working in the service department, fixing computers. And I could see how much money I was making for the company because I was like charging people for things, and it showed profit. And the metrics that we were looking at was like profit per day, profit per month. How much are you making the company? And it was just like 10x my salary. Right. And I was making nothing. And I asked them for a raise, and they're like, ooh, I don't think so. And I'm like, I'm making like $100,000 a month for you guys.
I did the same thing for the startup. I like full blown gave a presentation to my boss at the time and was like, this is why I think I deserve this.
And I get it. As an owner, like, you can't, it's not just one-to-one. You can't just be like, oh, this is the money that you brought in. That's how much you should get paid. Because there's expenses and insurance. There's tons of things I wasn't thinking about. But I also knew that I was way underpaid. Right. And I just asked like, hey, can I just get to this point where my peers are
3% rate.
And and I mean, and they were just like, we'll come back to it.
In a few months.
Yeah, you have a performance review coming up in 6 months. Let's talk about it then. It was like, okay, no. So I was like, I'm doing my own thing. So I needed something that I could do while I kind of did the opposite of you. I started my side business and while having a career, and just built that up so much so that I remember I was shooting just weddings at the time. I was just a wedding videographer. And I remember I was booking weddings, I don't remember the exact number, let's say like $4,000. And I was like, that was my like take home for 1 month of work. I was like, I'm working 175, 180 hours a month for these people and making what I make with one wedding. I was like, if I could take that 180 hours a month and just turn that into one more wedding a month, then I would be making more, and I don't have to answer to anyone else. And I started doing the math, and I was just like, okay, I think I'm done here. And I built up a 6-month runway. I saved up a 6-month runway, and then I just quit.
Towards the end of the last job, I mean, both of them, they made the decision for me, but that's kind of where my head was leaning towards. I was like, I don't think I can keep doing this for like another year or two. Like I've got to, so like I kind of already started thinking about like how can I exit? And then boom, made the decision for me.
They said, here's how you could exit.
Baptism
today,
by fire.
Right now.
Here we are.
Send us your computer and stuff. Yeah.
It's so
here's
real.
how you can exit. They gave it to you. So
I know.
All right. So let's talk about your business. Your team. You have a team. Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me about it's all ladies.
It is all ladies.
Why
and
are you
I
sexist?
feel like I just feel like I really like there is a reason. Like
girls are just inherently better at social media. It's not a rule, but in general, it just feels like girls are better at social media.
But so we're at Mississippi State where I went, we actually had an integrated digital marketing program. So my degree quite literally is in digital marketing, and then I minored in entrepreneurship. So literally what I do now, and I know a lot of people like do not use what they went to school for, but luckily like that is a selling point, especially if I'm talking to like an older gentleman. They really like that you go to college.
I have a psychology degree, so.
Right. So it's like, it's like a perfect marriage of what I do now. But anyway, I like to pull, like I give people internships that are studying kind of that same program that I was. Cause I'm like, clearly they have a passion for it. It's like a lot of extra hours. So it's like, it's clear like they want to use this information and do that after school. So I like to like pick people from that route. And then I've kind of also like opened it up to like, I have people from all over, but that went to school for like integrated digital marketing. Like there's so many things nowadays.
Are a lot of them remote?
They're all remote except for one. She's like living in Boulder for the summer. So she's here. She got to assist me like last weekend with a shoot. But anyway, like, they're all remote and they're all great. And so it really just takes so much things off my plate at time. Like I realized like when I really started to get more clients, I'm the type A person that's like, I want to do everything myself. And I still like everything they do, like they have to submit to me for approval, because that's one of the things when I talk to potential new clients, they're like, I understand and value that you're not this like, 20, 50 person agency. Like they like that they can still talk to me. So that's kind of one of my values is like, I want to make sure any client.
Well, there needs to be some sort of like quality control, right? And so it's not a huge team. So someone on your team has to be quality control, and it's going to fall on you. I do the same thing. I like to, hey, ping me when you're done with the edit. I'll look at, I'll give you feedback. We'll do a internal revision before the client sees it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I really kind of, I'm just super type A. So I knew that was going to be like a thing for me to being like, I got to a point where I was like working 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. And I was like, all right, Jordan, like you can't do this. Like you need to go outside and like touch grass. Like, come on, like you've got to hire out people. And thankfully, they're great. They're wonderful. And they help me so much, but still have that QA system.
Yeah. It's like a nice balance because it allows you to take on more. It frees up a little bit of your time, but also allows your business to expand a little bit too. So it's finding the right people and learning to delegate is really hard.
Totally. Yeah.
Coming up with systems, because now you have systems with employees and they have to, so we're kind of going through those growing pains as well.
Yeah. And like, luckily, like the software I use to like content plan and do everything, like they literally hit submit and then it goes to me and then I can click like needs. It's called Loomly.
Loomly. Okay. I haven't heard of that one.
Loomly. Yeah. It's not one of like the later Hootsuite. Like I really like it because it's not like super like bells and whistles-y with like aesthetics, but it does get the job done. It has a great like QA
is
system.
It ugly?
No, like no, it's like green and white. Like it's fine, but I mean, there's some that are just kind of have cooler interfaces, but I'm not paying for that. So
yeah. Cool. And then we were looking at Sprout Social. You ever use that?
like, I mean, back in the day,
Yeah,
but like a
okay.
lot of the times they just like you add, cause like, I mean, I've probably, if you want to count like how many actual accounts, like individual Instagram, Facebook, I am logged into, it's like well over 50.
Oh my God.
So it's like some of these, like they want to charge you like Sprout Social. I haven't looked in forever, but like 10 grand a year
Yeah.
to get over X amount. And like, that's great for people that only have maybe like 5 clients, but I'm like, I've got to figure out a way. So they're pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'll check them out.
Shout out Loomly.
I'm sure they're watching this.
Right.
So you have a great aesthetic. Like you have a really good eye for aesthetic. Your personal your business Instagram, where does that come from? Like, how do you have that? How do I do that?
So I'm glad you brought that up because that is like one of the main things when I'm on a discovery call that I tell clients. I'm like,
You're so good at it.
I was like, I'm a very aesthetic person. Like my biggest pet peeve in this industry is when, you know, they had another marketing person in the past and you go and look at the work they've done and I literally call it a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no rhyme or reason. There's like, you know, it could be like graphic photo, random photo, whatever. I'm like, there's a way to do that. Like
There's
artfully.
no like brand consistency.
No. And so I like I said, the content planning, like I have 2 new clients starting July 1st and I have like an onboarding call tomorrow, have one next week, but I sit there and like take hours of like, you know, finding inspiration. They'll send me like photos that they've maybe done or videos. And like, I will sit there and mock that up for like a month or so out. I don't schedule the post or anything because that's another thing we can get into about people that schedule for months out in advance. But I sit there and make sure it looks all aesthetically pleasing because one of the biggest things that when people are searching on social media and looking for is like when they go to your account and look at it, what are they seeing?
Yeah.
What is the
does it look
takeaway?
like?
And when you go to an account and
A
it
lot of
is
thoughts on
a
that, too.
jumbled mess, they're going to
Well, it just looks
right
unprofessional.
out. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is like my biggest thing. So where that comes from, like when I did photography, like all throughout high school, college, like I was the point person for everyone's senior photos. Like when I was little, I would go around family Christmas and just like have a camera and be like taking photos. Like I've always just been this like creative person. So naturally, like in design, I took like a photography and Photoshop class in high school. And then just like I crafted my skills, whatever. But I just am a very like,
that's a good way to put it.
I mean, that's kind of where the type A-ness comes in too. Like I just want everything to look so nice and professional and like not someone look at this and go, you're paying them how much to do that? You know?
Well, your attention to detail shows.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It's good. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between, you've alluded to this and you talked about the people, those people who schedule things out. Tell me about the difference between if a client is looking to hire someone to run their social, to manage their socials, what is the difference between what you do versus what they get at like the big agencies that sort of do it all?
Yeah. So when I worked for that startup, we actually had like a pretty well-known agency out of Atlanta do our marketing. And I think they told me the number that they were paying them. And like I was doing all of like social media marketing before they hired them. But I think a lot of people get to a point in their business and like, we've got to hire the Nike, we've got to hire, you know, that glitz and glam service. But then it's like, you know, they have 50 employees, they have salary, payroll, they have an account manager that you're going to talk to. So like
Offices, they have overhead.
Right. And so that's where your price is baked in. And then they have 50, 75 clients. And so when you actually like narrow it down and go look at the actual content, like I'm just talking about social media, for example, and you look at the posts they're creating on your behalf, it is like a fraction of like what I could do, for example, because you have all of those other people and managers you have to talk to. Like it's just ridiculous. So when the biggest thing that I tell people when I talk to new clients is, again, I think I touched on it earlier, is like, you're always going to be talking to me. I never want to get too big to where it's like I need to hire account managers, and some people may be like, you know, you need to shoot for the stars. But it's like I've just seen small businesses get burned over and over again from these large agencies, and I don't want to be that. But the biggest thing that a lot of people don't do is, like I said, these larger agencies, when they come to you and they get your business, they will quite literally schedule your post for like 3 to 6 months in advance. And then what if the client's like,
how many posts can they possibly schedule?
Well, like this, I mean, I know this because I actually talked to like 3 or 4 agencies when I first started, just to be like, hi, I'm starting like almost like a mentorship. I was like, can I talk to you and pick your brain about what you guys do? And so a lot of them will be like, yeah, we're going to do your website, your SEO, your ads. And oh, by the way, we're going to throw in social media for you for free. And so then
as an afterthought.
Yeah, I like made a post about this the other day. And then the client's like, great, they're going to run my social too. This is wonderful. I'm already paying them 10 plus grand a month. Like wonderful. And then you go look at the account and it is the most like stagnant, non-personalized stuff ever. And so that
just
like
stock photos.
Yes. And their plan is like 3 posts a week. So 12 a month. So then like they'll just make the intern schedule out, 36 posts and call it a day.
Yeah.
And I
it's
am
mostly
like,
just graphics.
right. And just like, which I'm not saying
Canva or
graphics are bad. I use graphics, but there's a way to artfully do that. But anyway, I am like, I do not schedule anything out for more than a week for my client because I get so many like last minute requests. Like, hey, we just did this event. Hey, we just, we have a new special coming out. Like we need real time coverage and we don't just want to like slate it in and make it look bad in that aesthetic feed. So I make sure I always have like wiggle room in there that like accounts for that stuff. And then the biggest thing that these agencies are not doing is like actually using social media, the reason it was created, which is like engagement and like commenting, liking, following other people and businesses to get their name in front of them.
That's how you build a community, right?
Exactly. And so people are just stunned to hear that when I tell them that I'm actually like in your account logged in on a phone.
Yeah.
Like these agencies are logged into like the service that I have. That's it.
And it just posts.
And then just post, they call it a day, check it off their list. Literally. And I'm like, no, I'll post on your account and then I'll go in. Like I have 3 phones, Matthew. I'm not kidding you, because Instagram only lets you have like 8 Instagrams logged in on one device. So I currently have 3.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I will get 10 phones if I have to, because that is my value prop. Like I am logged in on a phone, making sure we can do stories with the links, like actually using all of the native tools that these people are not doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Because that's a huge difference between just posting a graphic with some generic copy that you wrote 3 months ago.
Things have changed.
Your business has changed 3 months ago. You have different goals now. You have different, markers.
Totally.
You have a new product that you're launching. You have a new service. You have a new restaurant menu, whatever it is. Whoever is running your socials doesn't know that they're not posting
it's an
about
afterthought because the money that you're paying is again going to the website, the SEO, the ads,
and the marketing. That's probably what they're good at. They're probably good at like building websites, doing SEO, Google ads.
Right.
That's it, which is in a completely different realm than social media.
Right. But I'm like, the world we are in today, the amount of clients I have personally got for my business from my Instagram, I have like 10. So I'm like, when I tell people that, I'm like, you cannot have social media as your afterthought. So like hiring out someone that is nowhere near the price of probably what you're already paying this other agency to like handle it well makes the world of a difference. They could probably
just afford to just keep them and have you and just A/B test it, and you can just show them the difference.
But
they're posting their scheduled posts. You go in and
that.
delete their scheduled post. You're like, we're not doing that.
Right.
That's funny. So tell me about your client avatar. Who is your like perfect client right now for you?
My perfect? Well, they're all perfect.
Nah, come on. Give me an example of like a client. Like what is their ideal revenue? How big are they? What industry are they in?
Yeah. So I actually made like a funny video the other day about like, all the service like industries that we've helped. And it is quite literally like across the board. So my business model is really like small business helping small business. So I don't really work with any businesses that have like over 50 employees.
Okay.
Like they're pretty like mom and pop.
After about 50, they usually have someone on the marketing team and who's probably versed and can do a little bit of that as well.
And so I really do like to keep it small. Like again, like they're businesses that can still have a budget and like pay my rates or anything, not crazy rates or anything, but they appreciate and value that they know that they probably can't do it themselves, and then they hire out. But I've worked with a lot of people in real estate, whether they're like individual agents, real estate investing. I have like interior design, construction. I have like a medical facility, like one of the biggest ones in Alabama right now. Like, I mean, I have worked with people across the board, but I tend to kind of skew a little bit more toward like professional services. I have it engineering, like that kind of stuff, because there are like a few kind of nuances, like, for a retail business, for example, kind of with the way I'm set up in my time. Like I can't really go in there every single day and take photos of like clothes at a boutique, for example. Like those are kind of businesses like where you kind of need someone in-house. Yeah. But for the most part, like everyone that I work with, like it just works seamlessly. And in Denver too, like if you're in Denver and you want to work with us, we have like monthly content days. So the iPhone, not anything to your level, but just like, especially if a business is just starting out and like, I've never even done this before. Like there are several businesses where I've like started their Instagram for them, and so we kind of like work up that, content. But the biggest thing I think is missing with a lot of these larger agencies too is they don't focus on storytelling. Like, why did you start your business? What are you doing now? Where are you at? And
what problems are you solving?
Right. And so I like to do that in like a quick video form for Reels, because of course that's what's king these days. Yeah. So I'm like just getting them in front of the camera, and like, a lot of people in their package do not include content creation. They're like, I'm only going to post. You're going to send me the photos and videos that someone else took. So, I mean, it is like a lot of my time, but it's kind of what
you're kind of doing it the hard way, but the best way.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you work a lot right now.
I do, but that's why, like, it's really been helpful to have these other like part-time employees that help me, because I'm like, I know I can't do it all, but I do like want to get back to a spot of like, this is literally why I started, because I was in kind of a hard place with like other corporate companies in my experience. And I was like, I never want a business to feel like they've just been so burned by me, because I get so many people. Like I had an experience like about a month or so ago, and this guy approached me and he was like, yeah, I was paying someone $200 a month. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me go look at your stuff. And when I had to tell him that like the stuff that this lady was doing was literally hurting his business more than helping, he was like, wait, what? I thought like just having a social media is great. I'm like, wrong. Like, honestly, if you're not going to do it right, just don't even have one, because there are people out there, again, that are just posting these like random graphics. And it's like, that's not doing anything. Like, you're just go put your money in the trash can. Like, so it's like, invest a little bit more money and have like a strong presence who's posting videos.
Save your $200. Man.
I mean, come on. But I was just like, the look on their face when they're just like, what?
Yeah, that's funny. I've never thought about that. Yeah, you're hurting your business, because when people come to your page, it just looks unprofessional. You don't look like you know what you're doing. I don't want to pay a premium for your service.
At that point. And so that's kind of the main thing I teach on discovery calls. It's like, it's really all about when someone comes to your account, how does the account make them feel? What does it look like? Do they want to browse around, watch your videos? Like, there's got to be a story there. And that's like the main thing I focus on.
I've been thinking about just switching to a 9 grid. You know what that is? Where you just have 9 posts, and they're like, you highly curate it, and it just stays there, and you don't post it.
But, I know.
That's probably not good for your business, but
no, I got to be like posting a lot. But
yeah, no, there's different approaches for sure. But why do you feel like business owners struggle so much with just running their social media?
Because I think they just do not have the time. Like, one of my interns runs, or like, I mean, I'll do like a few reels here and there, because again, it's still my business, but I even know that I don't have the time to sit there and post every day and do the engagement. So it's like, I have to practice what I preach. And a lot of these business owners, they're like,
you've hired yourself basically to run your own social media.
And she's great. And she gets the branding and the vibe, like what we're trying to do. And I recognize that like I have bigger fish to fry during my day. And like, again, if I have an extra hour, I'm like, ooh, like I saw this reel the other day, like I want to recreate it, boom, post. That's not every day. But a lot of these business owners are literally doing it themselves. I got a new client this week, actually, and they're a healthcare startup, and he was doing it himself, and he's the CEO. And I hear that story time and time again. And
that's
I'm
a lot of my clients too. They do it, running it themselves.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and I think it is, a lot of the times it is a trust factor, because a lot of these people I talk to have used someone else in the past, and they are so burned. They're like, I have nothing to show for it. It was so bad. And so they're very weary about hiring someone else. I'm like, if you'll just give me a chance, like I have the portfolio and results to prove it, but I promise you it will take so much like pressure and anxiety. It's 6 p.m. You just closed your laptop and you're like, dang it, I forgot to post today.
Yeah.
Like, that is not what we want. We want to have a strategy. We want to have that look already planned out. Like, it's worth your time to have someone that this is their full-time job doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. That's cool. And so tell me about like the analytics side of what you do. How deep are you diving into the analytics of your clients' socials? And then how much of that are you sharing back with them?
Yeah. So part of any of my social media packages, every single month, you get a full report of all of the different accounts. Like most anyone is just on like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But I do have, a few clients in certain industries on Pinterest and TikTok. So I want to make sure everything that I'm doing, especially if you had bad experiences in the past and it wasn't transparent reporting, I give everyone a full report and we review it together. And I'm like, let me know if you have any questions. But I mean, it clearly does show like the green and the red. And if there ever is a point where there is red, I like to back in and kind of explain maybe, oh, it was the holiday season. Did you know that actually all these advertisers' money is getting pushed way up, and all of our organic content is getting pushed way down because people are trying to convert sales. Like, there's certain kind of intricacies sometimes, like why numbers could be down, but I'm very honest and I'm like, this is probably why. But luckily that does not happen all the time. It's usually around holidays and everything. But I mean, I like
it's never like it's because of these 4 posts that we did that were terrible.
No, and it's just like crazy. Like, I've had, quite a few new clients here in the last couple months, and like even looking at kind of where they were at and them where they're at now is just astronomical because again, I'm doing it the right way. I'm using trending audio. I'm making sure we're doing everything on why it was created. And it's just like great to see their faces when we have our meetings or I send them the analytics report and they're like, great, like this is wonderful.
Do you have any clients that are like selling on Instagram that have products that they sell that you're trying to help them
Yeah,
convert?
I have one and try to guess who she is.
Oh,
My mom.
Okay.
So yeah, she's the only one that we do like, tap to shop and you can tap on there and check out via Instagram.
Okay.
And the reason that works so well is because she's my mom and I've, been this little watching her do it all. But she goes in there and does the whole like uploads the Facebook product. And then like when I post, I make, but like, that's where I kind of was like for clothing or another kind of retail, like it just would get super hard with like an agency model.
And are you seeing a good ROI on?
I don't know. She said like, so she's kind of funny. Like she'll, on all the posts we do tag the product, but when I post a story, she wants the link to the website. So she's like, I see a lot of people click on the links and like a lot of sales from my website alone. Cause she sells on like Etsy and stuff too.
Okay.
But she's really trying to get away from, cause the Etsy takes a percentage and all that good stuff. So she's trying to get like 100% just strictly on her website.
Okay.
She has all different avenues though. She's kind of a funny one.
That's cool. I like mom. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the packages that you do offer to your clients. So do you have like a series of, you have a small, medium, large package?
Yeah, so exactly that. I have like a tiered approach. So kind of like an entry level, a medium, and then people really that are like trying to convert more, like my highest level. And I really do like take the opportunity to like on these discovery calls really hear like what you need. And like I, of course, want everyone to choose my highest package, but I also know that it's not feasible for everyone. And I'm like super transparent because of the situations that I've heard from other people. Like if I don't think that that's going to be a good fit or we're not going to have enough content or you don't love to be on camera and like, things of that nature, I'll like recommend a certain package for you. So the lowest one is like 3 posts a week on like any channel of your choice. So again, a lot of people are on like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And the next one's 4. And the next one's like a post every single day. Wow. And obviously I've seen the most...
A package where you'll post 7 days a week?
Yeah, sometimes more.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Depending on like again, like kind of was saying, like I love like this is a great example of like a business that will come to me and they're going to be like, we have a lot of events we go to, or we want a lot of real time coverage. And I'm like, okay, you do understand if you pick the 3 posts per week and you text me a photo of this event you went to last night, that might have to wait till Monday. And they're like, well, I want to get it up ASAP because I really don't let my clients touch the account because of that. All the research and time and kind of aesthetic I've achieved. Oh. So I'm like, if you feel...
So they don't even have access to their own...
No, they do.
You just don't want them posting.
Oh, no.
Because they will ruin their aesthetic.
They will ruin what I've built. And I'm like, you have to respect that because you hired me for a reason. Like, let me do my job, And so anyway, if a client comes to me and I'm like, wow, I don't think... Like, I know you're trying to get... budget wise, probably the lowest one. But if you like, I don't want to have conversations with you a time after time where it's like, why can't you post this? And I'm like, cause you didn't like, and that's an instance I ran into. They can always
start here and go, hey, this isn't working. We need to post this more. And you could go, okay, here's the next tier up.
And there's a reason that I'm like, of course, when I first started, I was super lenient about that, but I had a situation where I just got
creep, right?
I had a situation where I got super burned and was doing so much more work than what we signed our agreement for, and I was like, I just can't do that anymore. And that's kind of standing up for yourself.
It happens in every creative field. It happens with us too. And hey, can you just do this? Hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And it's like I've been doing this now for like 12 years, and I've gotten so good at like communicating expectations and what we can and can't do up front. And then it's in the contract too. I hate pointing back to the contract. I never want to do that. Right. That's a like last resort for me.
But I've had to do it before.
If it's little things, I always want to find a way to say yes for my clients. But if they really push the issue, I'm like, hey, this is outside of the scope of work that we agreed upon. So we'd be happy to do this for you. But it's going to cost a little extra. And because it's time. And most of the time they understand that. If you explain that to them, hey, here's what we agreed on. Here's what we've already done. And then this is what you're asking for on top of that. I had a client come back after we shot this big event and just go, hey, can you just take all the B-roll from that, put it on a timeline, color grade it, and give it to us?
You're like, you know how many hours that?
Yeah. And I was like,
color grading itself.
I was like, can I just casually do like 12 hours of work for you? Like, I was like, well, we can, that's outside. I literally said, that's outside the scope. And he was like, oh, come on. We paid you guys so much already.
And
I was like, we delivered everything that we agreed on. Like,
right.
here's what we said. Here's what we did. You can see how they line up perfectly. That was the agreement. And then you add all this like 10, 12 hours of extra editing on at the end. Anyways, we kind of had to like we basically fired them as a client.
My new thing kind of issue I'm running into this last month really is people that will come to me, they'll find me, they'll book a discovery call. And it's my favorite new like trope, if you will. And they'll go, well, how about you just create some content and send it to us so we can get a feel for how you work? And I'm like, did you know I have 54 videos on my portfolio page on my website right now?
Yeah.
I had someone ask me the other day, they're like in the food and beverage space, and they're like, we're doing a wedding on Saturday in Highlands Ranch. This was Thursday. They called me. They're like, can you just come out on Saturday all day and audition for us? And
sure,
I said
$8,000.
And I said, audition for what? And they're like, well, we just want to see like how you would create content from our event. And I was like,
look at what I've done in the past.
With zero contract, zero pay. Like, this is where I'm like, I'm not getting taken seriously. And then I have to say politely no.
Yeah.
I have a business to run. Like, I would love to do that. Right. I actually have worked for a wedding.
Go find a high school kid.
Right. And I'm like, I've literally worked in the wedding industry before. Like, there are videos of that on my website. Oh, okay. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just have gotten so many people asking for stuff for free. And I'm like, for any industry, like, I know people love to get a deal, but it's like, I think like when I go out into the world and do stuff like on a personal level, like hire people or go eat somewhere, like I recognize that we're all like trying to put in the work. Like, I'm never going to ask something like for free. Like, it's just ridiculous because of the way, I'm getting treated. Like, oh, I'm sure you can relate.
It's like, hey, can you just stay a little longer at this event and shoot for another hour or two? I'm like, I've been here 8 hours.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. You mentioned something to me also about virality. Virality. And you had like this theory that I thought was really interesting about the tortoise versus the hare. And it's like, do you have clients coming to you and saying, hey, we want to try and go viral? Do we need a viral video? And do you have to kind of explain to them like, hey, you can't just create a viral video,
right?
You can create things that you can try to go viral, but unless it just hits and is perfect at the right timing, the right place, some of that stuff backfires and just it comes out cheesy. It doesn't.
So I think I have like a perfect example of this. I had a client that I was working with. It was going great. We saw, month over month increase. Like, had just started their business, so it wasn't like we had 3,000 followers yet or anything, but like we were like inching toward just started their business. So I was like working with them to do all of their content and social media, and they ended up ending their contract early. And I felt like I was getting laid off again. Like, they called me on a late Friday afternoon, and I posted for that day, checked did my post for the day, and then they logged me out of every account. And I was like, weird. So I texted the owner and I was like, hey, like, I think the password changed. She was like, you'll be expecting a call from us. And I'm like, what in the world? So I get a call from like her male counterpart, and he calls me. He's like, yeah, we're going to go with this other company. They're more local. And I'm like, I get it if it's because they were in Atlanta. And I was like, hey, I get it if it's, I'm in Denver, you're in Atlanta. Like, that's totally fine. But then they, offered some other things that I was like, that's not accurate, but whatever, parted ways.
It was probably they just were throwing it in for free. And they're like, oh, we're going to get free, right?
But just wait. So then I actually had same industry, another client approach me in the same industry, and we ended up working together. And of course, I still kind of watched back and looked at the other client's account to see what they were doing. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because whoever they hired quite literally would only post, like, I'm sure you've seen like the Michael Scott meme where he holds up the boom box and you like put text over it. They are only posting like the CapCut viral templates, and it has nothing to do with their business. Or they were in the same industry, so they would try to relate it. But anyway, perfect case of grass. They thought the grass was greener, because the new client I got started from a numbers wise, follower wise, a spot well behind them, quickly surpassed the client that ended early with me. And I bet they were sitting there watching my new client, because I knew I was working with her, being like, probably should not have ended that early, because whoever they hired is only creating content in the hopes to go viral. Nothing about the brand, nothing about this is our why, here is like event coverage. Like,
very few industries I feel like even benefit from like going viral. It's like, it doesn't necessarily convert to sales.
No, not at all. And that's why like so many, I luckily have not really had a lot of people come to me like, I want 30,000 followers overnight and I need you to post the trending whatever every single day, because I'm like, you do not understand that like, when I'm scrolling on TikTok, little do I ever actually go click on that person's profile and see what they have to offer. I get a laugh for 30 seconds and carry on with my merry way.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm like,
I'm not going to following your account.
No. And so that is quite literally what a viral moment is, a viral moment, a moment in time, a laugh, a cry, whatever it may be. And then someone's going to keep scrolling. And so that does not convert. That does not show, here's something my business did. Here's our why. Here's an education piece.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing on the sense of like someone's going to stay and book a call with you and find out more.
Right, because most of the people seeing it aren't interested in what you do.
No, it comes up on their for you page. And so I just thought I got such a kick out of that because I'm like, they truly thought the grass was greener because maybe this person had, I don't know what the scenario was, but I was like, if you just tortoise in the hair, if you just keep on keeping on with our branding, our identity, what works for us, like it will literally like, I mean, I have clients that like have, you know, maybe a little bit over 1,000 Instagram followers and they are constantly getting messages of like, how can I learn more? Like, this is great. And I'm like, it's not all about the number, really. It's vanity.
Yeah. The number does not equal sales.
No. And a lot of people, and I have to do, and I do have to break that down for people. A lot of times they're like,
unless you're like you're selling digital products or maybe apparel or something like that, like a good, then it doesn't. If you're a service-based industry or you're doing like construction or something like that, like
my Lee Creative Instagram has like right at 1,600 followers. And again, I think I've gotten like 5 to 7 clients straight from my Instagram.
Right. And
but they didn't look
1,600 is not very many.
No, but they didn't look at me and go, oh, she's a marketing agency and she doesn't have over 10K. Because it's not about that. Like I'm being consistent. I'm posting what works for us and it does work. And so I apply that
businesses see what you're doing and they're like, I want that for my business.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't matter. I probably don't even look at your follower count. I don't.
No, because it's all about the content you're posting. But
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. Here, tell me about what's on the horizon for you. What's coming up? You got like 1 year, 5 year goals? You got anything coming up that's exciting that you're doing?
I mean, to be completely honest, I did set like a lot of 1 year goals and thankfully met them all. So that was exciting. But I haven't really like done like a year 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Just like on the horizon, I guess, like obviously still like I'm still open, books are still open, like still trying to get my name out there, more clients, and then hopefully like hire someone full time. That is my goal. Because I love the girls that I work with and would love to give them the opportunity to like work full time. I'm just unfortunately not there yet. Yeah. And again, with my industry,
I have a feeling you will be.
I do get like a little bit of anxiety a little bit from just the experiences I have with the layoffs that like, you know, in our industry, like we do have contracts, but contracts also, you know, they have end dates sometimes. And so it's like, I always kind of wonder like, oh, I'm going to hire someone full time and then get 8 calls the next morning with clients that are like, all right, we're going to be ending in a month. And then it's like, well, I just hired someone full time. I don't want to let them go. So, cause I've gotten let go. So I never want to do that to someone else. So there is like a little bit of like,
I'm the same way. I mean, I've had to fire people. It's terrible. But actually, Justin, we need to have a conversation right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I do before I hire someone full time is I build a 6-month runway and make sure I have their salary set aside for 6 months, which is really hard to do. And it maybe not for everyone, but it gives me like that confidence to make that decision and go, okay. And then if the shit hits the fan and clients and my work just dries up, well, at least I can pay him for 6 months and you know what I mean? And figure something else out in that next 6 months.
So that would, to answer your question.
And you got to be also willing to, you personally have a savings account so that, because I operate like I would pay my employees before I pay myself, and I would keep them on as long as I possibly could. You have to be able to like live without a paycheck for a month or two.
Which, hey, that was me a little over a year ago. I think I was making $500 per month when I first started. Woo! And that's like another thing. I know we're trying to end, but like I think a lot of people look at me and where my business is at now, and they'll be like, "Wow, like she is killing it." I'm like,
no,
you do not.
14 months ago,
I couldn't pay my rent.
Yeah.
You know, like
it barely covered the cell phone bill I was using to post for people.
Literally, and I'm just like, I mean, of course, like social media is a highlight reel, like personally, professionally, clients.
That's
like,
one of my things I hate most about social media.
And so it's like, there are many days where I have been like crying on the ground because I'm like, this is so hard. Like, you know, it's just not all sunshine and rainbows, everyone. Yeah. But I am thankful that I have it.
I feel that. Well, congratulations to you. Because that if in 1 year success, that is pretty impressive. So, all right. I want to wrap up with a few just rapid fire fun questions and then we'll get out of here. All right. Are you a morning lark or night owl?
Night. Like last night, I think I was up till 1:30 a.m.
Holy crap. Okay. Yeah. That's like a Wednesday night.
Well, my boyfriend's out of town. I was just scrolling TikTok. Okay. To be completely honest.
That's work though.
It's market research.
You're working. Yeah, it's research. R&D. All right. How do you reward yourself for success?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a fashion girly.
Okay.
So I hit a big goal in January and I did buy a designer bag. Not like a crazy one, but just,
Okay.
I like a few things. So that's like a diamond. Like I don't do that all the time, but in terms of like every day, like, oh, go to dinner. I'm like trying to, if I get like a couple more clients, me and my boyfriend are trying to go on like to Mexico or something, like
Nice.
for like a Thursday through Monday, like kind of thing. But
Yeah.
nothing crazy.
That's a good answer. That's good. You got to reward yourself for those little wins and set little goals. And if you hit those goals,
And the
reward
bag
yourself.
wasn't like a little one. It was like a big one that I, like my 1 year big goal and I hit it. So I was like, all right, Jordan, like
Treat yourself.
yeah.
I like that. All right. Tell me about, do you have a dream client? You're like, if this big client came to me and was like, we want you to post all of our
Literally
create all
like
of our
any like bubbly spindrift. I'm a big poppy girl,
Okay.
like the soda. Like, I mean,
I've not tried Poppy.
oh my gosh.
What makes them
tea,
special?
everyone. There's big controversy going around them on TikTok right now because they're marketed as a healthy soda. Because obviously, like a can of Coke is like 50 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
A Poppy is 5 grams of sugar. And they claim there's like apple cider vinegar and that it'll help with like probiotic. And then someone did a study on them and said like you'd have to drink like 5 a day for 5 weeks to even reap the benefits. And I'm like, guys, we just want to.
You're like, I do that.
Well, I don't, but I was like, guys, we're just drinking this because we don't want to drink a Coke every day. Like I am not a big soda.
Does it have caffeine?
I don't know. But they have like a Dr. Pepper flavor, a Coke, Sprite, and then they have like orange and like fruit ones. Like
Okay.
it's in Sprouts. Like it's so good. But like working with like a CPG brand like that, because there's so much room for creativity. And that's kind of like, a lot of the companies I do help are not super
They always have the best product photography.
right. And I just like love that and think it'd be super fun to work with like a CPG brand.
All right, cool. Bubbly. Reach out.
Yeah. Spindrift.
All right. Like start, bench, cut, like that. Like I'm going to name 3 things and you have to choose a start, bench. You just played soccer. You get the idea,
did.
right? So you got to pick one to start on the team. You got to pick one that you're going to
Okay.
bench
Oh,
on the
okay.
team.
Kinda like-
and one that you're cutting.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like Mary.
Yeah,
Kill.
yeah. That's what I was like, what?
Same concept, but I didn't want to say that on here. So, okay. Emojis, GIFs, and memes.
Oh.
GIFs,
We can. What are the
Emojis,
options again? Start, bench,
cut.
cut, gifs,
Okay.
start emojis. I use emojis every day, and then I guess bench memes. Like I'm not a huge meme girl, but one of my best friends, like her level of communication is sending memes to people.
Okay.
So like I'm still involved. Like my boyfriend loves a meme, so like those are fun, but they're not like my personal favorite. So I'll bench them, but like GIFs, don't even know how to pronounce them. I never use them.
Yeah, no one knows how to pronounce it.
Right.
Just pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
GIFs. I say GIFs. Okay. So you're starting emojis, cutting GIFs, and benching memes.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I like GIFs. I like the movement. I think they're
Oh,
funny.
you do like them.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't, they
Memes-
get lost in the sauce for me. Like I don't use them.
Okay. I could see that. Memes to me, I could take your lead. Sometimes
I
they're
think
funny,
memes honestly comes from working in corporate and you're like sending a Slack message to your work friend and you're like sending them a meme of like
Okay.
that terrible meeting you just had and you're like, oh my gosh. And so you like send a meme anyway.
All right. Yeah. And I'd say like 20% of my communication is through emojis. So I don't think I could live without that.
Me either.
What is your most used emoji?
That is a great question.
Mine's this face like the.
The like, oh my God.
Yikes. It's kind of a
honestly, I
yikes
should get
face.
my phone and look at my recents, but I think a lot of them, unfortunately, they're skewed because I'll use certain ones for clients.
Okay.
So like,
But in a personal text
like
conversation.
I love like the sparkle, the disco. There's like the classic rosy cheeks blush. I'll use that one a lot. And then I love a white or a black heart.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I use those on
For
like
what?
I just because of like my personal aesthetic. Like I'm wearing green today, but I'm a very neutral person. So like I don't really like love to use crazy colored. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I do the like laugh face because I'm old. I'm very old, and do the like sideways laugh face with tears if I think something's funny.
I'll use like the sweating
if
one
I'm
a
like-
lot too.
I use that one a lot
like,
too,
ooh.
or the head exploding one. And I'm like, that's crazy.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, last one. Is there a personal goal that you're working on right now? Something outside of work?
Of course. I don't know how feasible it is with this current housing market here in Colorado. Shout out, but I would love to buy a house.
Okay.
Which is like so funny because it's such a juxtaposition of like where I'm from versus where I live now. And like quite literally all of my friends are either engaged, getting married this year, have bought a house. And I'm like, you don't understand. If you just check Zillow in Denver, you're gonna want to pass out.
Yeah.
So
I could buy 3 houses in the South for what it costs here.
It's ridiculous, but I mean, I get it. It's where we want to live. It's where like my boyfriend he grew up in the mountains. So personal goal is buying a house.
Okay. Awesome.
In maybe 3 to 5 years.
Well, I mean, you keep growing like you're growing, and you'll be there in no time. So
hopefully, thank you.
I believe in you. Awesome. Well, tell the people how they can find you online.
Yeah. So my Instagram is at Lee Creative Co. LEE. And then my website is leecreative.co.
Okay.
And so on my website has all of my contact info. You can book a discovery call. It's a big button in the right.
Okay. So
top right
everyone
corner.
go to the website and book a discovery call, and that's the process. So if
Yeah,
they're interested in working with you and getting the great ROI that you provide them, go to your website.
Yeah, leecreative.co.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. That was great.
Yeah. Woo.